Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy friends. It is chapter 329 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. And I know you've all missed us. I know it's been a sad, sad time because me, D-Doc, Brent, Alfie, we've all been really busy. And it's the start of summer, and there's kids and grandkids and jobs and everything like that. So we appreciate you putting up with us missing a few episodes here or there or missing out on some things. Hopefully, you got a chance to go back and either watch or listen to the live show we did with the Indianapolis Indians on I was going to say Rule the Galaxy night, but Star Wars night. It kind of was Rule the Galaxy night for us, but most of us are back together. Brent is not here right now. Maybe he'll show up later. But as usual, it's Joe in the pilot seat. We're going to whip it around the room here and talk to these great co-hosts. And we'll start with D-Doc out in Pennsylvania. How you doing, D-Doc?
I'm doing good. Excited to be back on here. As you said, it's just been a lot of craziness going on. It's just beginning of summer madness, and entering a new section of the year and things settling down a little bit. I'm excited to hop on here. I have no clue what topics I'm going to talk about with you guys tonight, but I'm ready for it. I don't even care if I sound like an idiot and don't know what I'm talking about. Just happy to be on here.
I think that's the gist of our show, right? Like that's why people listen to us, is because we all just come on without a topic or a plan and we just sound like idiots. It makes everybody feel comfortable.
I think that means it's going to be a good show.
It's kind of our thing.
It is. It's our thing. Are you guys getting any feedback or reverb or anything like that? Just want to make sure before we get going.
Yeah. Alfie, is the phone on? Does the volume on the phone on next to you?
Yeah, I turned it down. How's that?
It's good now. I was like, man, I'm hearing myself in my headset. And I thought, gosh, and sure enough, it's just that technology thing of having us play live right next to us. But Alfie, how about you? How are things going in Alfie world?
Things are going pretty good. Like D-Doc said, it's full-blown summertime. It's busy.
It is. It is. Now, for you guys, I know you have the end of school and you have sports and you have possible family vacations, all that kind of stuff. For me, yeah, I'm chasing the grandkids a lot, but June, being in Indy, when you get to the end of May and Memorial Day weekend and the race and all that stuff, and then my birthday, Lori's birthday, my daughter's birthday, we've got all those activities going on all at one time. It just gets hectic as all get out. And you mix into the jobs are busy right now. It makes it a little bit of craziness for everybody here. Yeah, so I just spent tonight ordering a special birthday cake for Lori because there's a certain kind of cake she likes and her birthday's coming up. And it's always a bummer because her birthday always falls right around Father's Day. So it kind of gets mashed into one. I try not to make that happen, but you guys know how it is. Holidays, birthdays, sometimes that happens. But then also I went to go buy her a present tonight. Man, sometimes if you don't have the right code, they kill you on shipping and other fees and all that stuff. It's like stabbing you in the heart, looking, going, oh, I thought I'm getting it for this. And next thing you know, oh, there's $15 extra just to get it here, right? So it's bedlam. But how about so sports? I know, Alfie, I just went and saw Azalea play, your daughter.
That's right.
Baseball. And D-Doc, your son was on a championship baseball team. So guys, I'm a little bit away from that right now. I'm a little removed. I was coaching for most of my life, but I'm waiting for those grandkids to get a little bit older. Tell me about the seasons. Tell me about the fun stuff going on outside of Star Wars when it's just sports and kids and family.
Yeah, it was a fun run. They won. I think it was 3 playoff games to win the championship. So it was big because there was them and another team only had 1 loss all season. So it was 2 1-loss teams in the championship, and the team we were playing was the only team we lost to. So they got the final out with a guy on third, but I keep the score on the sidelines for the other parents because no one ever knows what the score is. And I had it at 14-13, and we're all like pretty much sitting there crapping ourselves because there's 2 outs and a guy on third. Well, we just had the championship pizza party this week, and the coach was like, "Oh, the final score is 14-12." Oh. So all the parents were busting my balls because But there was another dad who had the same score as me. The third base coach on the other team was being a little shisty with some of the kids he was sending on certain plays. So, yeah, I think your league might play with different rules than ours, Alfie, because once the ball, because I've seen in the video where it looks like they just kind of send the runners, right?
That's kind of been a thing all season. Nobody's really sure. The rule book says you can run bases as long as the ball is in the outfield.
Yeah.
But then it also says if there's an overthrow, you can run one more base. And it doesn't say how many bases you can run when the ball's in the outfield. So, yeah, our coach just sends them. But they won't let anyone hit more than a triple. So, like Azalea last game hit a triple. She could have ran home, but they made her stop at third.
See, that's what, like, pretty much all year we pretty much keep it to doubles. And, like, if it needs to usually be, like, kind of considerable for it to be a double and for, like, a guy to score from second. But it is the same rules that you're saying, where they say as long as the ball is in the infield, the runners are stopped, which we had a kid who had the ball and he was right on the edge of the infield. Like he had the situation under control and he's just the play is dead. And the coach was like, go home. Like I'm right on third base. And I hear the coach saying, go home. And the one guy finally was like, dude, what are you doing? Like he was, it was almost my first, parent argument of, children's sports, but level heads happened. They shook hands. It was, no big deal.
Right.
But.
We had that 2 games ago on a play where so the ball gets thrown to the infield, but no one catches it. So is that a dead ball or can you run one more base? Because the ball's still on the ground.
Yeah.
And to me, at the end of the day, I'm like, they're 5 and 6. Does it really, it's not that important to me.
Yeah.
Just like everybody take a deep breath.
Exactly.
Well, being that I coached for all the years that I coached, I can tell you there are some gentlemen that their only stress relief in life and away from their job and away from their spouse and whatever else is to go there and dominate youth baseball. And they walk away with a victory, go grab a beer, and they feel like they just won, the World Series. And, that's okay for some people. But it can consume you. And especially when you have parents chipping in your ear and all that kind of stuff, it gets into you, and the amount of nights that I spent back when Joey and Maddie were playing with phone calls from parents and listening to them all evening long with the gossip and the backstabbing and the things I had to do to run the politics and keep this parent away from that parent and that kid away from this kid. It was amazing. But I've recently been going not only to see Azalea play, but my nephew, who is 7 or 8, he's 8. And I went to watch his group play. And the amount of all that going on in the crowd while I was around, I just thought, my gosh, it's a soap opera. It's constantly a soap opera at youth baseball games. It's crazy.
Fun.
It was no different at club volleyball this year. It's the same thing every week. All the gossip and the politics and, the little cliques and all of that.
I just think, though, that there's just something so great about baseball. Like being at the baseball field, like even at like little league fields, it's like we just went to a AAA game recently. It's like we consumed a lot of baseball this year, and it was fun. It really is. It's good. It's a good lesson learner for kids too. Because there's going to be times where you're going to screw up, and there's a lot that they need to know when you're on base, when not to run, where you need to be when a man's on first. Like there's a lot of thinking that goes into baseball, that when your time comes, it's time for you to step up. You can get nervous, but I don't know. It's good. It's a good lesson learner for kids, I feel like.
It definitely is Americana, right? Like I don't think another country right now in the world, and maybe, there's probably a few, Cuba, Japan, Dominican Republic, whatever, that are so much about baseball that there's that feel of being at the ballpark. But growing up, it just feels right to be going and getting a hot dog, a slushy or something, or a suicide. You guys ever get suicides at the concession
Yeah.
stands?
Oh yeah.
No,
Um,
what is that?
what? Oh yeah, no, it's
D-Doc.
you take it and you say, just give me a suicide, and they go to the fountain and they hit everything on the fountain into your
Okay.
cup.
Okay.
So you're getting a little bit of everything, right? A little little cream soda, a little Dr. Pepper, little whatever
Yeah.
into the drink. You're popping back a hot dog or a soft pretzel and a suicide. That's living right there.
That's awesome. I love it.
Did you have? Do either one of you guys at your places have walking tacos?
Yes.
I don't know. And for some reason, I've yet to ever visit our little snack stand because I just know it would turn into the kids just wanting everything. So I've managed to avoid it.
Man, walking tacos, man. That's
Walking
another
tacos
one.
are good.
So basically, they just take a bag of Fritos and pour chili into it, and to give you a spoon or a fork or whatever.
Yeah, that's
And
delicious.
It's
It's really good.
it's great stuff. So we did a little bit on that. We got kids all growing up. We've got a lot of stuff going on, guys. I have a few countdowns for me. Work stuff's got me going crazy. I'm going to be in Ohio next week. Then I go to New Orleans. Then I might be in Branson, Missouri. Then I've got Pittsburgh in July for Joey to play in the Cam Hayward Celebrity Softball game. And then Italy is 84 days away.
Whew.
84 days away till I'm 2 weeks of not thinking about a thing except gelato, wine, pizza, pasta, and nothing else. And I really can't wait. Like every day I got the countdown on, and that's all I'm thinking about. So what about you guys coming up over the summer and from here on? What's on your agenda?
What do you got, Alfie?
Alfie's got a lot of work.
Yeah, and work, and then we don't have hardly anything planned for this summer because with the kids being in sports, I mean, Enzo's got football 3 days a week now, and then I think it goes to 5 in July.
I got a text from Joe about his squat. By the way, my brother texted me and goes, "Dude, Alfie's son's a monster." He's like, "I just saw that video of him squatting on Instagram. That's crazy."
Yeah, I was really proud of that.
That's fantastic. And to cap all that off, even guys, I just sent you guys texts. The fantasy football league, the draft's like 2 months away. We'll be right back into the thick of things. Can't wait. Get all the trash talk from Joe Doc again. I love that. It's one of my things I look forward to every day.
It was a fun year. I'm looking forward to it as well. That's a good group text. You never know when it's going to pop off. It has stayed active too.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes dormant for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just pops off for a couple hours.
Yeah, it's like a volcano where like every now and then some smoke comes out of it, and then calms down a little bit.
Hey man, we changed plans in Italy because of volcanoes. So volcanoes is a big topic here at the Molinaro House. You got one going off in Sicily. You never know when something's going to happen in Naples. Yeah, volcanoes. Not a great topic.
We don't need you to be in the next Pompeii over there while you're on vacation.
No, thank you. Don't want that at all.
We'll keep the podcast going, though.
Yeah, we don't want you.
While Joe's in ash at the bottom of a mountain, the podcast continues. That's fantastic. They'll find the shell of my corpse. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need you in the history books with your last moments before you turn to ash. The famous Pompeii guy.
Think about that though. Pompeii 79 AD. Obviously no smartphones in. Think about what it would be like now with all the people running from that and the recorded history of that going on all of our smartphones.
Oh
that
my
would be
God.
Yeah.
There would be people standing there filming it, getting hit with the lava.
Just to be influencers. They're like, this is going to get so many hits. That's the world we live in. What? Well, D-Doc, I don't think we ever talked about it. The yacht of all the influencers that sunk, and instead of hopping off with the, you guys remember that, don't you?
I don't
All,
remember
all
it
the
actually.
influencers
No.
were on some yacht that was getting paid for, and all they were doing was posting things all over social media. Well, it started to sink, and the Coast Guard was coming to help them. And while they were trying to get these people off, they're like, I've got to get this shot. I've got to get this. And they couldn't get the people. I mean, they got them all off, but like they were like, jerks, we're trying to save you and you're trying to film everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird world we live in. It's a look, the three of us are sitting here talking 15 minutes in out into, the interwebs. Who would think of that? Three adult men would just be sitting here doing this and it's going out to social media and everything else. But it's the world we live in now. So
No, that's crazy. It's crazy. I always, it's funny. On the volcano topic, I always think of Pompeii because there's a ride in Busch Gardens, Williamsburg called Escape from Pompeii,
no
where
way.
where I didn't know much about it, but I know about it from that ride the most because it's one of those big like family like water rides where pretty much you go up, you're in a huge raft. It's not like a log flume; it's one of the big boat ones. And yeah, it looks like Pompeii, and you got flames all in there, and everything's falling down, but you wind up escaping. Hence the name, Escape from Pompeii. So,
Never knew that was out there. Have you
yeah.
heard of that before, Alf?
No, I have not.
Yeah,
But now I'm intrigued.
that's a trip. Mrs. Doc kind of teased to me today. Was like, I'm off a couple days at this time. Like, we could sneak to Busch Gardens, which I love. I love Busch Gardens. I grew up going there. It's a beautiful park. It's always super hot because it's in Williamsburg, but you've got all the history around that area as
Mhm.
well, where Jamestown is right there and everything. So we may be sneaking there, and we're in the midst of planning a Disney trip for the end of the summer right now. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, we've
Alfie,
got a couple trips going on.
you're thinking of Disney in January, is that right?
January. Yeah. Yep. That's where we're planning right now. But it's all going to depend on what's going on with the house because that's finally going now. We're getting some work done.
Thank goodness. I know
Yes.
that's been a major weight on your shoulders right there.
Yeah, it's been a ride for sure.
But I can't wait. I think all of us can't wait because then maybe the Alfie Star Wars Museum will start opening up.
That's the plan. And I can't wait for that. I will probably be in a lot of trouble, but it'll be worth it.
Well, let's look, D-Duck's bringing stuff up for us, getting graphics going.
I'm bringing there it is right there.
Oh.
There's Escape from Pompeii.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it is a cool ride. Oh, I removed Joe from the screen. So sorry.
That's all right.
Technical difficulties here, but we're back.
Nobody really wants to watch this visually anyway. So, hey, real quick, just playing catch up. My birthday was week ago, something like that. Week and a half ago, and so Lori and I just went out for dinner and stuff. It was kind of a low key kind of thing, but we went to a half price bookstore. I showed you guys this, and in the half price bookstore there was a Captain America jigsaw puzzle. Lori loves doing puzzles. So I was like, hey, I'm all in on that. If you're into it, let's go. Let's get this Captain America puzzle. So it is now being worked on the jigsaw table that we have out there. So when that's complete, I'll send pics of that because it's very cool. Lots of scenes from different Captain America comics in that. And then this book right here, which D-Doc, I don't know if you've read this book or not.
I have not.
1998. I think something like that, right, Alfie? I think it's old.
Sounds about right.
But it's by Michael Stackpole, who did all the. Did he do all the Rogue Squadron books, Alfie?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, while we're sitting here, I will take a gander and
so
look.
Disappointing.
Yes, Michael Stackpole. Holy cow! All kinds. Yeah, Star Wars X-Wing series. That's what he did. Rogue Squadron, Wedge's Gamble, the Christos Trap, I believe. Little tiny writing for an old man eyes. But this was one of my favorite books, and for a while when we moved all those times, I sold a ton of old books. So I got rid of it at some time. But it's also Ryan Massengale, former co-host of the show, one of his favorite books, and it's about a character named Corran Horn who showed up in the Kenobi series, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
That's right.
So
as a child,
Lori sees it, and I was like, "Oh, Lori, that was one of my favorite books back in the day." So we went to go pick it up, and it wasn't that expensive or anything. And then she opened it up, and inside, Michael Stackpole has signed this book to Steven, I think. Best wishes, Michael Stackpole. And I was like, well, now I have to buy it. It doesn't matter if I was or wasn't going to buy it. Have to buy it. So, I think it was like $350, something like that, sitting on a shelf, signed by Michael Stackpole. So, very cool. Brent just sent us all a message, by the way, not hopping on, a lot going on right now. Brent, hope everything's okay. Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to get you back on here. But yeah, that was just some of my little birthday tidbits right here. It was pretty cool that I found it. And I'm actually, even though I do all my books pretty much audio now, I'm taking this with me on a few of these trips since it's paperback. Even though it's signed, I'm actually going to read it old school, actually read a book, and that'll be fun. But D-Doc, it's definitely one. Just like we got you the CD of the Christmas songs, the Christmas album of Star Wars. That's a book that I think you'd enjoy right there. Corran Horn. He was training under Luke to become a Jedi, so pretty cool.
Maybe that was signed for Stephen Kent because it looks like it's spelled the same way as his first name, right?
There you go. Yeah, Stephen. Yep.
Stephen
so now you're missing this book. I've got it.
Or next, if you ever run into him, say, "Hey, I got this for you. Sign it for you."
Did you ever stop in Indianapolis and sell this book at Half Price Books? Because if you did, I bought it.
Half Price Books, though, guys. I mean, I know we've got everything with eBay and Mercari and all those different things. Something about walking into Half Price Books where they've got whole just shelves and racks of comics, old paperback books, old hardbacks. I mean, just a little bit of everything. And they had a whole section of Funko Pops, Alfie. An entire section. I was like,
that
wow.
used to be one of my stops.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I missed it. It's probably been 5 years since I've been into a Half Price Books, but it's definitely worth it. And D-Doc, I love when you keep finding little things at flea markets or little shops. I mean, this place is a treasure trove of that kind of stuff.
I really feel like going to places like that is a good mood booster for me. Like that place is right by my Home Depot where I'm constantly at Home Depot to buy material. I know that I can hit my lines of where I like to go in that store and know whether I want to get something or not within 5 minutes. And it's always just cool to just see all the stuff sitting there, whether it's those old Disney, VHS, packs, seeing them all there. But no, it's fun to see all that stuff.
It's like Ollie's for me. Ollie's and that. Like we've got multiple Half Price bookstores and multiple Ollie's around Indy. I think if given the time, I could spend a weekend and just go around Indy and hit each one of them and just walk through and find little treasures and be pretty happy, with a $3 and $4 purchase. So,
it's a good idea.
There's one thing I got to bring up because I finally did watch the show of you guys at the baseball game.
Oh yeah.
The Molinaro family cracks me up because a new one enters the room. And I'm just like, who is this? And then Joe's just like, yeah, you were just out at Celebration Japan. He's his uncle. He's, got all the. So what's the story? What is it? Was it Tom or I
Uncle
forget?
Matt.
Uncle Matt. Yeah.
We don't have any Uncle Toms in our family. No.
Yeah, Uncle Matt shows up and he's like, yeah, he was just in Celebration in Japan or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever heard about him. You got Yellow Line Productions, you got Tony, filming it there. You guys don't mess around.
Yeah. Alfie, I mean, we basically grew up with Matt, right? I mean, he's my
Yeah.
dad's baby brother. He's your dad's baby brother. I mean,
Hmm.
he's the youngest of the three Molinaro brothers, Joe, Chris, and Matt. And he was my age. I'm actually 4 months older
Right.
than Matt. And so we grew up together. And then, heck, he lived with Alfie for a number of years and time
Yeah.
at different times. And yeah, so we all used to be fairly close. And then life just got in the way. And Matt is definitely into the original trilogy more than anything else. Like, he has dabbled in the Disney era. I think he mentioned, he doesn't go into it with high expectations, but he is, well, my dad jokingly said he was one of the top 10 collections in the world of Star Wars, but Matt was like, I'm actually more in like the top 100. And it's true. And jokingly, I think on the show, I probably even said, I decided to have kids, you decided to not have kids, so you kept collecting and I stopped.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened. Matt is a collection fanatic, but he collects a little bit of everything, like we were talking about. Bottle caps, paper from different things, sketches from different people. Jim Swearingen, who worked for Kenner and helped create the original line of Star Wars characters, he and Matt are friends. And Matt
That's
is
wild.
he runs a collecting group here in Indiana for Star Wars. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to reconnect and see about having him. He actually has offered Alfie and I to go to his place and kind of walk through his personal museum of all that. So we might take him up on that and see how it works out.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, sorry we never really talked about that. Yeah,
No.
I guess we should let you know all of our different relatives that might pop in from time to time.
It's a big family.
It was hectic there, man. You guys could not have had a better spot. Darth Vader behind you guys, just the way the camera was hitting his lightsaber, the lightsaber kind of looked real, like when you're rewatching it
Cool.
on YouTube. The lightsaber had that glow to it. So it was cool. It was fun. You know what my favorite part was, Joe, was when you gave some of those Black Series figures toys to the kids. And you, after you gave it to him, like the one, you can kind of see him in the background, like sitting there looking at it. And I'm like, that kid's probably so fired up to get that. You know what I mean? While you just kind of handed out, here, man, take something, moving on to the next thing. But like, those are the things that just solidify it for, people in that age range. So it's cool.
We had a lot of fun, Alfie.
It,
It was a
it was a lot
blur,
of fun.
right? I mean,
Yeah, it was weird because we got there so early, and D-Doc, we were there for like 2 hours. Well, probably not 2 hours, but
hour and a
at
half
least an
before.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no one, absolutely no one. And then all of a sudden it was just full. And
Yeah.
it was loud and the people walking by, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of good interaction.
Yeah, we had a great time and the people were great. And we've actually had some requests. People were like, hey, that person you had on, you need to have him on again. Or like the droid builder, I think his name was Todd. They were like, you need to have him on again, which we told him, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to have you on. Brent threw some lady that he didn't even know on there into the show. And I thought it was like a friend of his. And I'm going, hi, so you're Brent's friend. Oh, you're not. Okay. Let's talk Star Wars. And and I hated it because Tony did such a great job on that, setting everything up because they originally had us with our backs to the wall looking out of the field. So all you would have seen behind us was a wall or a trophy case. Would have been a terrible backdrop. He turned everything and said, I'm going to do it this way. Tony knows what he's doing. And so it did look great. Having all those people coming and going and Darth Vader right there. The only bad part for me was one, I felt like I had to be too loud because I couldn't hear anything at all. So I'm thinking no one can probably hear me, so I have to be loud. Well, then I'm listening. I'm like, man, I'm coming off really hot on the mic. And then Alfie was 6 feet away from me, and I kept going, you're gonna have to come up. And I'm reading his lips as he's talking. It wasn't because he wasn't speaking, it's because I had so much noise echoing off my ears
Yeah, there
that
was a lot of noise.
yeah, and then you had the music of the the stadium and the people and the announcers. I was like, man, if we get through this is going to be a miracle. But I think we pulled it off, right, Alf?
I think we knocked it out of the park.
I didn't, as far as like audio and everything goes, though, that's kind of just what I expect with you being in that atmosphere. So it wasn't like I was watching it like, oh man, like, the sound is, screwed up or whatever. It's like, I could tell you were probably a little, turn up on the voice, but at the same time, it's because you got all that madness going around you. If anything, it made it a little more exciting, I would say, where it was like, it was just kind of crazy, which is what I expected. It was a fun episode to watch.
Alfie, outside of handing the stuff to the little kids and having people just show up and us interview them real quick or say hi to them, was it just like mind blowing to think that we were doing the show and Dr. Squatch was in Lake Como, Italy, watching us? That freaked me out.
Yeah, that's dedication right there. I mean, to take time out of that to listen to us, hats off to you, Dr. Squatch, but you didn't have to do that.
No,
he was connecting the podcast to where he was, man.
Well, yeah.
It was just something for me to think back, like where we started with the constant freezing and the internet issues, and now we were doing this big production at an Indians game. Like how it happened, I don't know how we got to this point.
Yeah, D-Doc, I need you living in Indy because then we could just meet once a week in a live studio somewhere and just do the show.
I know.
There was something like I love doing this right here. I do. I think all of us talking and connecting and just being friends and sharing our lives with each other is a big deal. But doing it to where we could sit there and just be hanging and talking like that in the same room, it reminded me back of the old ICCC days when they used to let us get on the podcast stage. And, I mean, the other things, we did a comic book show, a comic book store, right, Alf?
Mm-hmm.
Me, you,
yep.
And I think Joey might have been in on that. I can't even remember who all was there.
Vinny was there.
Vinny. Gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I join in on that one from I think I might have joined in like for a little bit on that one. I don't remember if I remember you guys doing that show either way, and the production was great on it, which Tony did that one as well, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think you hopped in, but I think we might have been having some sound issues like connecting or being on time with you or something like that.
Yeah, you guys like couldn't see me or something, I feel like. So every now and then I would chime in, but I remember I didn't even care. I was like, whatever. Like, this just looks freaking awesome.
Well, we've talked about it for years, and I look at this show and Brent always says it's a release from reality, and we get away from everyday life when we just sit here and talk for a little while. And I think, wow, that's interesting. I think it's true. I think it's our little. We have a little club, and not only just the 3 or 4 of us, but also the people who do chime in, like Grizzly there chiming in, Dr. Squatch, Adam Parker, all of everybody else who's been involved with us in years past. So I was listening to Hyperspace Heroes today while I was driving somewhere, and they were recapping ICCC. And they were talking about all the different people they're meeting and all the people they're talking about. And they said that their very first guest ever was Rural Farm Boy. It's the first person they had on. And I didn't know this, but Hyperspace Heroes' first title for their show was the Alderaan A-Holes. And they said they had a hard time getting guests to want to come on to the Alderaan A-Holes show. So they changed to the Hyperspace Heroes. But they've been going for 4 years. We've now been going for 5.5 years, right? I mean, it's just wild. It's wild to think about. But we've become friends. We've created a little group that we all interact with, whether it's online or here in the show. So it's a really cool thing. I'm really happy that we have this going on. And as Alfie said, to be where we were hoping that this would work and having terrible internet to doing live shows and traveling places together, doing doing shows from prison cell basically in Pittsburgh. That kind of stuff. We've had some ups and downs and fun. And speaking of Pittsburgh, going back to Uncle Matt, D-Doc, if we plan to do that again next year, Matt knows the guys who run Steel City Con. And he said to let him know, and he'll connect us with them, because he was like, I didn't know you were going out there. I could have gotten you set up with the guys who run it, and we could have put something together. So, you live and you learn, and we will move forward and try to take advantage of those kind of things.
Imagine the show you would get with the setup. It's like we've been talking about, let's be honest. And we've talked I feel like we've talked to the guys at ICCC about having that setup out amongst the people where you just have no clue what's going to happen, who you're going to get on the mic, what they're going to say. And it makes for a fun show where you're waiting to see what's going to happen next. And I mean, it would really be fun. It would really be fun to be in a situation like that. Dr. Squatch.
There he is.
Chiming in.
Yeah, Joe was definitely in his element during that show.
I knew that. I knew that when I was watching.
That was like God tiered Joe Molinaro right there.
I guess I have a problem.
No, it's not a problem. It's a gift. That's what it is. It's a gift. It's not a problem. It's a gift.
Well, I love seeing Dr. Squatch hop on because he knows I'm going to be reaching out to him to come on and talk to me and my wife about his Italy trip. And following that up, Aaron, Brown Leader on Hyperspace Heroes, is this week in Portugal. And so he said, when I come back, what do you think about me and my wife hopping on and talking about our Portugal trip on your travel podcast? I said, sounds great. You guys keep giving me content. We'll keep having you on. Guys, I mean, I personally think that the way we do this and where we are, maybe we just missed out by a few years. I don't know. We weren't the first, we weren't the earliest, because the earliest people, there we go. Dr. Squatch is in, like Rebel Force Radio and Steve Glosson and all those kind of guys, they've been doing this for 15 years. But I really think if we would have had this crazy spark of an idea all those years ago, where would we be right now? I don't know.
Joe, I was looking today I was scrolling through emails, and this is on my social media email for my other stuff. And I have an email that says, Dave, we just wanted to let you know Rule of the Galaxy podcast is in the top 100 Star Wars podcasts, where I'm like, it's like, here's the list, like click this, where I'm like, I feel like this almost looks like spam, but they're emailing me on an email that's totally unrelated to Rule the Galaxy. And they're like, we just wanted to let you know Rule the Galaxy podcast is on top 100. I should have screenshot it and sent it to you. I'll find it and bring it up. But apparently we're on the top 100 Star Wars podcasts.
Well, I'll take the top 100 because there's got to be thousands of them out there, right?
You would think so. As many podcasts as there are.
Somebody told me a long time ago that if you make it through 20 podcasts, if you make it through 20 episodes, your podcast is in the 1 percentile of podcasts, because of all the ones that get started, 99.999% of them never get to 20 episodes.
Yeah.
And we are at 329.
This says, hi, Dave. I hope you're doing well. My name is Vineet, and I'm the founder of Million Podcasts. I'm excited to share that your podcast, Rule the Galaxy Podcast, has been recognized as one of the top 100 podcasts on the web by our panel.
Fantastic.
Wow.
And then it has some links, which I was kind of afraid to click, but at the same time, it looks legit to me. So,
well, I don't know if we're entertaining, and I don't know if we're good, but I do know we're consistent. And yes, we have glitches here and there where we all get pulled away and have things come up, but
a little loud.
No, we're good. Now we got to think about the next thing we're going to do. I will tell you one topic I want to bring up, and I've got a list. So I know we've been going 40 minutes and we've barely scratched anything Star Wars. But I if there's other things you guys want to talk about, let's talk about them. But I think we have to bring this one up because it's probably something that we need to plan for well in advance. Not only is the 50th anniversary of A New Hope in 2027, and I don't know what Star Wars movie will be out that year. Right now, we're kind of playing the waiting game. Spaceballs 2 is now coming out in 2027. Bill Pullman, Rick Moranis, and Mel Brooks all returning to reprise their roles from Spaceballs. Do we have any thoughts from either one of you guys on that?
I was shocked today to see that. But it's a movie that's lived on.
Mm-hmm.
It's still funny. So, and I was thinking about it. Disney has provided them with lots of material to work with. So
that crawl they put out was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was funny.
I'm excited to see it. I like the first one. It's always been, that kind of B movie to Star Wars, but very enjoyable, very funny. I was surprised to see that Rick Moranis was coming out of retirement. He retired quite a while ago, didn't he?
Oh yeah. When I was a kid in the 90s.
Yeah, I think he had some personal issues and he just stepped away from acting. I could be wrong about that.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, Parenthood, Spaceballs. I'm trying to think what else Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, yeah, it's really good in Parenthood.
Dr. Squatch said need to see the first, which that's one of those movies where like I feel like I've watched half of it on TV before when I was a kid, the other half another time, back when you actually used to watch movies coming on TV, like on TNT or whatever. And I've just seen a ton of clips from it. But it's hilarious that this happened today because last night I was, fiddling around here in the basement and I saw that it's on demand. I want to say on HBO right now. The first Spaceballs movie is on HBO. So I was like, should I throw that on? I'm like, I actually want to sit and pay attention to that though. So yeah, it's on demand. So now I'm even more pushed to sit down and finally watch the full movie. Cause those movies are my kind of humor. I absolutely love that kind of humor. So
when he mentions the sequel in the movie, what do they call it? Is it The Search for More Money or something?
Yeah. And the first one, it's The Search for More Money. Yeah. This one is what? It was something with
the Schwartz Returns.
The Schwartz Returns. Or Return of the Schwartz. One of those
something
two.
Like that.
Yeah, they have plenty of material to play off of in this.
Yes, they do. And not only would I look forward to seeing that, and everyone should go back, Dr. Squatch, you definitely need to go back and see it. And now look, it's not a great movie. Like you're not going to walk away from it going, man, that was great. You're going to find a lot of funny parts and then some goofy parts, but it's Mel Brooks. And, between History of the World Part 1 and Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, you're going to see goofiness like that in it. And, but it really hit the right spot for a Star Wars fan. It just, you were like, okay, I can make it. This was before Seth Green came out with the Family Guy Star Wars, right? And it was before the, what's the other one?
Robot Chicken.
I said Seth Green. I meant Seth MacFarlane. Yes, but Seth Green with the Robot Chicken, right?
Yep.
So all those are great and they're fun, but this was the precursor to all that. This was when people were like, hey, I'm going to make fun of this and make some money out of it. And it was pretty cute. But personally, I would like to see all of those put into a movie theater. You could put the Robot Chickens, you could put the Family Guys and watch them. How great would that be to see those on the big screen?
Maybe that's a series we could start in, like, it's kind of an off season between shows, is doing a couple episodes on Star Wars, offshoots. I know I got a DVD of the Phineas and Ferb show. They did a Star Wars special.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. Phineas and Ferb, I missed that age range growing up. That's one of those cartoons I watch with my kids, and I crack up. That show was hilarious. So it's like, we could cover, one week do, whether it's that one or Family Guy or Spaceballs or whatever, do a couple episodes on some of that stuff. Give us
D-Doc, let's do it.
stuff to talk about.
I say we plan it right now. So maybe our task before next week, because it's going to be kind of slow right now, right? Is maybe we all watch Spaceballs once and come back and talk about that, and then we jump into some of those other things. What besides Robot Chicken, Family Guy, Phineas and Ferb, were there other ones? I mean, let's face it, late 70s, there were tons of knockoffs that were supposed to be like Star Wars, but are there other movies or shows that really felt like that?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, obviously Battlestar Galactica is, a knockoff of that. A lot of people will say Star Wars is a knockoff of Dune, but I'm just trying to think if there were other people that really. The Black Hole. I beg no one I beg you, no one go watch that. It was a dark movie. It was supposed to be Disney's foray into a Star Wars kind of universe. You know what movie I really like that doesn't wrap Star Wars all the way in, but Star Wars is a key part of it? Argo. I think we should watch Argo.
I love that movie.
Anyway, Alfie, you were going to say something about Black Hole.
The Black Hole. Great action figures.
Great action figures. Loved them.
Mm-hmm.
The little floating guy who was broken.
Yes.
I don't even remember his name.
Rob.
Because they had a clean one and a broken one.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're talking about the freaking Black Hole.
And then you had the strictly evil robots.
Mm-hmm. The red ones?
Yes.
That were straight up and down?
They look like the thing from Tron, kind of.
Yes. And that was a messed up but cool, very cool show. It was messed up, though, in my opinion. I left that movie going, I don't think I want to see this again.
Yeah, apparently Scrubs had a Star Wars episode. The show Scrubs. Pinky and the Brain, if you remember that one.
I have not seen that one, but you know another one? Let's put it on the list right now. We all need to watch Fanboys.
Yep, Fanboys.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
All right,
I watched it a couple years ago, the first time you guys mentioned it, and that movie was hilarious.
It's great stars, and it is hilarious. So you know what? D-Doc, I love this. This gives us a whole bunch of content that's just fun, us being silly and talking about stuff. Yeah, keep looking that stuff up.
Phineas and Ferb, that 70s show had season 1, episode 20, A New Hope. That's a Star Wars episode.
Troopers.
Really? Was that that wasn't like a YouTube online thing? There was a show or a movie of that?
What, Troopers?
Yeah. Or is that?
No, it was online, but that was kind of the beginning of YouTube. And there was the cops, cop style with the stormtroopers.
This is fun. This is a new. I'm going to do some deep diving into this, like you are, D-Doc. Because
maybe we could even get some guests from some of these.
Well, you mentioned Scrubs, and the gentleman Petey from Remember the Titans. He wanted to play Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that.
We should reach out to Petey.
What? Since we're kind of on this topic, this really doesn't have much to do with it, but then again, it kind of does. D-Doc, did you see Miles Turner's Instagram post today?
No,
I did not.
Oh yeah, it was a trip through his wherever he lives, going through his Lego sets.
Oh, he's awesome, and that's what's. See, I never told you guys, but I was kind of on the other side of your last series because I was rooting for the Knicks this year. Meg's family is from New York.
Oh yeah,
they're Knicks fans, and they've been following them since I met Meg. So over 10 years, they've been through hell. So I've seen them really finally get energized with this team that's been good. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was funny because we were watching one of the games here, and I was like, I was telling her dad, I was like, I've followed Miles Turner for a while on social media because he's a big Lego guy and a big Star Wars guy. And he was like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, let me show you his page. And you know, he's a hardcore Lego builder,
Oh yeah.
and he's a hardcore Star Wars fan too. You know, it's really cool.
Joey did an interview with him. When Joey for a while was doing like once a week an interview with an athlete, and he did one with Miles, and they were talking about his Lego collection. And he was bringing out a Star Destroyer, and you know, I mean, he's holding it like this, carrying it out. He's way into it. So after they win the championship, maybe I can have Joey pull me a favor and ask Miles to come on and talk about it. But no, I did not see that, Alfie. I'll have to go check that out.
They play a very tough brand of basketball. They really do. They hustle and they don't mess around. They play tough. They play tough. That's why after when the Knicks made the trade for Karl Anthony Towns in the offseason, I was talking to my father-in-law, brother-in-law. I was like, it's good, but I was like, is it going to help them beat the Pacers? Because the Pacers are tall, you know, and they'll out rebound you, they'll out hustle you. So the Knicks are like that too. But I mean, that's the series didn't shake out for them. I'm happy. So either way, I was going to end that series either being happy for Meg's family or happy for you guys. Because I mean, I've been seeing Joey's posts. I mean, I know he's like super locked into it. I know you guys are as well. You can't beat it when your team is in a championship. It's just the best feeling in the world.
I got an age.
Go ahead,
I'm bringing that up. I got an age check today at work. So I was in the break room, and one of the supervisors, there was a group of people talking about the Pacers, and I
Look at
walked
that.
in to warm up my food, and he said, "Hey, you're a Pacers fan?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, I stood in line to get Reggie Miller's book signed." And he said, "Reggie Miller?" I was like,
The announcer?
Yeah. He was like, "How old are you?"
That's crazy. We that book is Joey's, but he doesn't like to keep track of all those things, so I keep it. And we went to the same thing, and Joey walked away.
That's right, we did, didn't we?
It was me,
At
you,
Media Play.
Yep, and there was like some other, maybe John and Maggie, and I don't know what else, but Joey walked away and looks at me, and I don't know. Yeah, we're talking 26 years ago, whatever. Joey's like 4, and he looks at me and goes, "Dad, I didn't know Reggie Miller was black." I just sat there. I was like, "Oh gosh."
Yeah. It's great when they go through that phase.
I was like, "Okay, baby. All right, honey. You talk to Daddy about that. Don't bring that up anywhere else. Let's just talk about that." Yeah. Reggie, at one point in time, Alfie, you remember when Reggie like got his eyebrow and like a cheek cut or something, and he had to wear a bandage on his face?
Yep.
We have pictures that for basically a month or so of Joey's life when he was little, he would walk around with Pacers gear on and a Band-Aid on his forehead. And he was just like, I'm like Reggie. I'm like Reggie. Okay, you got it.
That's when you know you got a sports fan locked in when he's putting the Band-Aid on the head, man.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. No,
the only thing about that experience, and I'll never forget this, when you got your book, you had to hand it to a person, and then they handed it to Reggie Miller to sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had ticket number 31. What are the odds of that? And I asked him, I was like, could you ask him to sign this ticket? Because it's his number, right? At his book signing. And they said no.
Damn.
That's the only downer of that experience.
We have loved, we've loved Reggie ever since way back then. That's awesome. I am here. I'm happy for what's going on. So we'll see. Just 2 more wins, and they got championship. I'm good. If you guys don't mind, I got some crazy stuff that I want to throw by you just real quick. Bullet points. Let's see. Let's start with story I read. Mark Hamill has never watched the original trilogy since he saw them at their releases. Do you believe that or not?
I don't believe that for 1 second. I really don't.
I don't either. I think he said his son, who's a huge fan, watches them all the time, but he said he just doesn't like to watch stuff he's in.
So his son's a fan, but he never one time watched them with his son. I'm finding that hard to believe.
Yeah, I could never imagine my little David being like, "Dad, you're in one of the biggest movies of all time. Can you come watch it with me?" No, I don't like to watch my own work, son. Go watch it on your own. Which, like, I don't know. I always hate that when someone's just like, yeah, I don't watch my own stuff. It's like, you went to the premiere, you watched it at the premiere. Don't tell me you didn't watch it. And there's been other times in your life where you have watched it. Do not tell me that. I think it's BS. I really do. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Obviously, just my opinion. But to me, I saw that and I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not buying it.
You're gonna sit here and tell me with a straight face, and maybe you didn't do this, but you're gonna tell me that at no point in the 70s you just didn't finish a mountain of Colombian snow and then said, "Hey, check this out. Look at this. Can you believe I'm in this thing?"
Oh shoot. Love it. Love it. I'm gonna hop off the Colombian snow right to the next Mark Hamill story. This is, I've had my differences with Mark, not because of his acting, but because of some of the craziness he says. But another Mark Hamill story. Mark Hamill says George Lucas would never have killed off the big three in the sequel trilogy. He would have let them right off into the sunset. Yes, new people would have come in, but he would not have killed them off the way that they were done in the sequel trilogy. Do we buy that? Do we think Mark's right? I mean, he did kill off Tarkin. He did kill off Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm trying to think who else. Major Yoda. He killed off Yoda in the original trilogy. But do we buy that?
I don't think George Lucas would have had his main characters regress so much in his story. Han Solo's arc through the original, I saw this the other day. Someone posted an AI picture of like Admiral Solo, right?
That went viral.
It was pretty cool.
Yes, that was his arc, going from a loner smuggler to an essential part of the rebellion. Would he become a general or an admiral in the Navy? I think he probably would have. He wouldn't have liked it. I think that would be an interesting part to a story, to be the leader of the Navy that doesn't follow the rules, that makes the quick decisions, that takes the risks. I responded to that person, and we talked a little bit about it. And I said, yeah, he probably would have, and he would have hated it, but he would have been the best at it.
Could you imagine the storylines with him just like forgetting protocol like constantly?
Right.
And
Yeah,
just
that would be
getting
like
pissed
the great
about it?
thing about his character. Just in the middle of a battle, like, yeah, screw that plan. This is what we're doing.
Right. He would have McClunkied that shit all up.
Right. So I could see them. I don't know if he wouldn't just outright not have killed them, but I don't think he would have made them go back to, it seems like we did a reset on all the characters. They're just back to where we started. And I think that was for the first movie, it kind of worked in a way, but it's hard to build off of that. And that was a major failure, I think. It's just too easy. Oh, we'll have Princess Leia be the leader of the Rebellion 2.0. How hard, why did it take you 17 times to come up with this? You basically just did the same thing.
Han and Chewie are smugglers.
Right.
Down
on their luck, smugglers, and they owe money to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, that does sound repetitive.
But Luke, though, let's go a different direction with him.
Right. Instead of Grand Master Luke that everyone's waited all these decades to see, we'll make him a recluse and he's given up on the Force and all that. I didn't really have a problem with that story so much as just the execution. And yeah, I could see Lucas wanting to just have a handoff and hey, these characters are in the background now. Maybe we'll need them for a little bit at the end or something, but for the most part, we're just using them to introduce the story, some plot points, and then new characters.
Yes. All these conversations around Luke would be different if that movie did not start off with him throwing that lightsaber behind him. And I know it's probably the millionth time that's been said online, but it's just the truth of it. It was I don't know. It's funny because I was just working on a bathroom renovation with one of my close friends who I grew up with, and we went to high school together and everything. He's one of my guys in my friend group who loves Star Wars like we do. He knows it even better than me. He was collecting, at a young age. He loves it. And we were, we're sitting there laying tile, getting pissed off about certain aspects of Star Wars, just talking about that. And yeah, it's like that's what he said. He said, I remember just walking out of that theater and he's like, I saw it with his now wife and her brother, and they were like, that movie was great. It was really good. And he said they looked at him and they were like, why aren't you saying anything? And he was just like, I don't really understand what I just saw there. He's like, I don't know what to say right now. And I told him, I was like, that was the first time I walked out and didn't know what to think, where I was like so excited to see that movie after The Force Awakens, because I really enjoyed Force Awakens. I just expected a totally different thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to. We'll end up talking about this all night. You just had to give me a reason why he's that way, and I don't think anything you ever tried. Maybe it sounded good at the time, but it just didn't make sense on why he would be that character. If you would have said, "Okay, Luke is in hiding, and he's kind of losing his mind a little bit because, let's say, during the Battle of Jakku, he used the Force and he lost control, and that's why the planet is the way it is and the fleets were destroyed because he had just this big powerful like Force explosion kind of thing. Hey, I get that.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense than my nephew had a bad dream and rather than talking to him I tried to kill him in his sleep.
I think it makes sense. Their storyline makes sense to people who were not into Star Wars. Like, if you're writing another movie and it's just about regular people, I could see somebody going, well, this makes sense. I mean, he snapped, right? But they obviously were not watching the movies. They didn't watch the original trilogy before they came up with the storyline because it just didn't match.
No, it didn't. You're talking about the guy whose switch was flipped because of the threat against his sister.
Mm-hmm.
He crossed the line to the dark side for a split second or two because of that threat, and now he's just gonna say, that's I don't want any part of that anymore.
She was still out there. He could have still been protecting her.
Well, even if he's in, I don't know, this reclusive, nature of himself, when she said, hey, my sister sent you, Han Solo's dead, my sister sent you, the galaxy's in trouble, we need you. And he says, no, that's not his character. And I get it. I know. King Arthur doesn't have a happy ending. I get that. Harry Potter doesn't, marry Hermione. I get that stuff. But
he still marries a Weasley.
Right, I know. But I'm just saying it's not like the ending that you wanted.
All right.
This idea that, your heroes don't have a happy ending.
I'm gonna make the break right now. We're gonna break away because we're not gonna because we go 2 hours on this one topic right here. And for people who've listened to 328 of our episodes, you've probably heard us. So I'm gonna shake it up and I'm gonna throw something else out there. Have you ever heard before that Al Pacino was offered
Yes.
tons of Jack to play Han Solo, and he turned it down because he just
Yes.
didn't get the movie.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Okay. Speaking of
Chewbacca,
Okay.
we gotta get out of here. Put it in hyperspace, Chewbacca.
to bring it around full circle to what we talked about earlier, you have to include the Saturday Night Live sketches of the auditions for Star Wars.
Those are fantastic.
Yes. I think that might have been one of the first times I heard that story. I don't know if he's on that skit, but it may have been an article that went along with that skit.
I don't remember. I
don't remember the part about Pacino, but I do. I mean, I love those skits. They were always so funny. But
have you ever seen Bill Hader's impression of Al Pacino when they do the Charlie Brown Christmas special and Bill Hader is playing? They're like, Al Pacino is Charlie Brown and Bill Hader's doing his voice. It is one of the funniest things. I think it's on the SNL Christmas special from years ago, but it's hilarious.
Have
to check it out. I have not. Hader's he's really good at what, I mean, he's a good entertainer.
Am I wrong that he did BB-8's voice? I saw an interview of him saying he did BB-8's voice, and I was like, what?
That's what I heard. How about you, Alfie?
Yeah, there's two different people that did it, and he's one of them.
It's hilarious.
Okay, so you've heard that on Pacino.
Yes.
Myself and D-Doc have not. Okay.
That's hilarious, man. He probably would have done great because that was a great point in his career as well. You know, not that it would have been a good time for him. I don't know. He would not have been Harrison Ford, but
The Godfather and Star Wars under your umbrella right there. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been wild. No, the one thing I always liked was that, like, was it Kurt Russell tried out for some of these, and William Catt, The Greatest American Hero. Do you ever watch that show, D-Doc?
No.
Great 80s TV right there. Greatest American Hero. He was trying out for Luke, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And Robert Englund, who is
Freddy
Krueger, was trying out for parts in Star Wars as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell could have played Han Solo. That's one actor I would say could have played Han Solo and done it well.
I think he could have pulled it off. It'd have been interesting.
Was it Barbara Streisand that was the lead for Princess Leia, I think?
I thought Jodie Foster.
She was one of them.
The girl, Sissy Spacek, Carrie was considered, right?
Yeah. The whole cast of Carrie, because they were filming or getting ready to film at the same time.
Yeah.
So they did a lot of crossovers.
Okay. Or learning something new.
Just like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, with Jack Nicholson. So Harrison Ford just happened to be in the right place at the right time, building cabinets.
It's crazy.
That is nuts. Okay, so we got past Pacino, which
I'll be back in 1 second.
Go ahead.
Which I can't remember who it was that I read this quote, and whether it's true or not, I don't know, but 100%. But someone famous said that when they saw Star Wars in the theater and Harrison Ford came on stage, they said, "Hey, that's my pot dealer."
Interesting. I had not heard that.
Yeah.
Hey, Harrison had to keep busy. He had to pay the bills until he got the roles. Alfie, while D-Doc's away, and I'm sure he'll come back and be a part of this, Mia Goth is looking to be the villain in the new Star Wars Starfighter movie opposite of Ryan Gosling. I haven't even looked into it. I saw pictures of her. That's the most I know of her. Can you tell me anything she's been in, anything she's done?
Nothing that I recognized. I looked it up a few days ago when I first saw that article, and it made it seem like that's a lock right there, that's the villain for the movie.
That is what I heard. There was one other one that was being considered for it, but I don't know. She didn't want it.
Not enough money, I think.
I'm gonna do Mia Goth movies right here. Boy, these are going to be ones that I have no idea. Infinity Pool,
Yeah,
Pearl, Mayday, X.
nothing I recognize.
No. The Staggering Girl, Emma. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, Mia. I know you will do a great job, but I don't. Oh, she was married to Shia LaBeouf.
There you go.
D-Doc, we were talking about Mia Goth. Do you know who she is? Anything about her?
Yes. Yeah, she's a good actress. She was mentioned to be in the Ryan Gosling movie,
Yep.
correct?
That's what we were bringing up. I don't know anything about her.
She would be a great actress in Star Wars. Now, she's been in other movies that I haven't seen. She's done a bunch of A24 films that people really like. I watched one show that she was in. It was, oh my God, it was a great show. But she was like, it was early in her career. And I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, like I knew about her, but because a zillion people watched the show. But I remember telling Meg, like, that girl's going to be a big actress because she's very good. There was an HBO show that she was in with Amy Adams.
I like Amy Adams.
It's a great show. It's kind of like a murder mystery type show. Where is it?
I've got The Survivalist, A Cure for Wellness, Marrowbone, High Life, Suspiria, Emma, Mayday, Pearl, X, Infinity Pool, and Maxine.
Yeah, the X movies are what she is definitely pretty famous for. Yeah, I think she was in Sharp Objects. Maybe I'm wrong. Sharp Objects was Amy Adams' show where it's. Oh no, I'm wrong. It was a different actress who played her daughter.
It looks to me like she bleaches her eyebrows. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but it just looks that way. But coming from a guy whose eyebrows are so light and white or clear, I can't talk much, and I've never really had eyebrows, but every picture I look at with her looks like she has her eyebrows like bleached so you can't see them.
Yeah,
it makes
she
sense.
she may shave them and just pencil them in. That's like I think a new thing.
Okay.
Oh my God, I thought for the longest time she was the girl in that show. I can't believe it.
You can tell that we're really up on our eye makeup and coloring.
Hey, at least we're seeing some casting for this. I mean, this thing really seems like it's going forward.
Oh, it's happening. I'll bet my money on it that it's happening.
I'm happy.
I agree with you on that bet. And I will raise you with a second bet that this is the most likely movie that we see Rey in.
And this one is the one I mentioned earlier, 2027. This is the one that's 2027 release.
Right.
26 is Mando and Grogu. 27 is Starfighter.
Lock it in. I don't know what the odds are. Climax of the movie, taking his nephew or whatever to Rey's Jedi Academy, roll credits.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's go. Let's wrap it all in. Speaking of that, that's my last topic that I'm going to bring up. Does a Rey New Jedi Order movie give Star Wars the best chance for the future? I saw an article titled that the other day. And I don't think that I can agree that that's the best movie to save the future of Star Wars. I would watch it and I would like it. I'd want to see it, but I don't know if that's the one that will recapture the fire to light things.
That's a hard one because I don't.
Now maybe if that scene you just brought up, Alfie, is the way this ends, and it bookends right into that Rey movie like that. Maybe it does. I don't know, but
I don't know. Here's my thing. I really like Ray. Ray is a very popular character in our house. My daughter still loves Ray. Man, they've just been working on this thing for a while now, and it just every once in a while you hear a little bleep from Daisy Ridley or whatever, and she's got to make a comment about how it's going great, and she's seen things, and it's I don't know. Going straight from the title. I mean, you've got a big fan base here that's just going to read the title of this movie and say, "We've already done this with a different character," and people liked that. So, why would you recycle this storyline with Ray instead of Luke? I think it's a little late too. I mean, again, I know as easy, like I said earlier, as easy it is to take the characters back to their roots or how they used to be in the sequel trilogy. This is like what a lot of people wanted in the sequel trilogy. We wanted to see Grandmaster Luke with his academy and his students and all that stuff. It feels a little I don't know if cheap is the right word, but I guess it kind of suits to then just do it with Ray. Uh, uh, Now, granted, we could see this movie and it could be 100% different than the new Jedi Order books, right? But after watching The Rise of Skywalker, which was basically the Dark Empire, I don't have a lot of hope in that. I really feel like you're just going to borrow a lot of ideas because you feel like that'll get the fan base back. And it may work in the short term. I don't know about the long term. Because I've said this many times before. One of I think the mistakes of the sequel trilogy is there's very little to build off of. You have Rey as a character, and who else do you have that's willing to come back? And even if those characters were to come back, what did you set them up for to build off of?
And I think we've all discussed it that we don't think that Star Wars fans ruined some of the characters in that show as much as Lucasfilm or Star Wars ruined the
Yeah,
character. Finn,
you didn't
Hux.
build those characters to where
Correct.
now when it's over, you say, okay, here's where we can continue this storyline. You destroyed the final order right at the end of the movie. Who's left to set up a government? The original trilogy established in the first movie that there were remnants of the Republic in the rebellion, and this is what they were going to do. Now the sequel trilogy said they all failed at that. Okay, that's fine. But now what do you have to build off of? That's a really hard task for somebody to create or to continue this universe when you've been left with such a blank slate. You don't have many pieces to work with.
Yeah. And what goes through my mind as well is this story with Ryan Gosling would be so cool if it was themed around original trilogy style ships is what goes through my mind. But at the same time, you need to justify continuing this story because like as you were just talking about it, Alfie, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how much did it cost for Disney to build Galaxy's Edge? So it says the cost of Galaxy's Edge to be built in Anaheim was $1 billion. They're a carbon copy of each other in Florida. So figure $2 billion is your cost of building these lands that are based off of the sequel trilogy. This is their chance to bring in a big star and be like, see, we can keep this new era of Star Wars alive. I mean, I guess you're not going to have the same looking, stormtroopers, from the First Order and everything, because I guess the First Order is gone. Or are they going to do First Order remnants just like we're doing remnants with a lot of these Star Wars shows?
That's the next novel that's coming out is Finn and Jaina.
Mm-hmm.
in First Order, remnants that are still kidnapping kids or whatever. Move on to something else. Come up with a new idea. I mean, like I said, I don't want you to rip off, these older stories, but man, the Yusong Vong would be a kind of breath of fresh air.
No, that would be cool. I think I really have a great. I really like Levy as a director. I think he knows how to make movies that are fun and have a spectacle to them because he did Deadpool, Wolverine. He's done a bunch of stuff that is good, and I think Gosling is passionate. From what we learned at Celebration, is a passionate fan of Star Wars. So I just have a good feeling about this movie, and also the Gosling effect is going to put people in the seats who aren't just necessarily Star Wars fans.
Yep.
I mean, it's a great pull by them to get him into the world. That's a big move.
You look at the F1 movie that's getting ready to come out with Brad Pitt. If that F1 movie was being done with somebody at not the level of Brad Pitt, I'm not a F1 fan. I mean, I like racing because we're in Indy and we know about racing, but F1's not my forte. But because Brad Pitt is a great actor and does really well in those kind of things, and racing's cool, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go see that movie today, and it comes out later this month, I think. But if it would have been somebody else, I probably would have said, I'm not that much into F1. I'm not going to go see it. So you put Ryan Gosling into Star Wars, the Star Wars fans are already going to see it. But now those people who loved Barbie and who loved, whatever other movies he's been in, I can't even think off the top, La La Land and, all that, Fall Guy, they're going to say, hey, that looks like Gosling's great. Let's go check him out in the Star Wars movie.
He's still a liability at safety, though. Was that Remember the Titans?
Coach Boone! Boone!
Have you ever watched The Other Guys with him and Russell Crowe?
No.
It's when they're like 70s era detectives. If you want to watch, it's my favorite Ryan Gosling movie. If you want to watch a movie that is, you're just going to laugh your ass off at it, and it's also a good story, is The Other Guys.
I thought, wasn't that the Will Ferrell Wahlberg movie?
That is called The Other Guys, but there is a possibility that there's two movies called.
Wait a second, I might be saying it is the Will Ferrell movie. Damn, what is it? I'm screwing up twice now. Oh my god, I think it's The Good Guys. I think it's The Good Guys.
Okay, well, I like those actors, and I like that kind of a movie, so I must have missed that one.
The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys. Ryan Gosling's character, you will laugh your ass off at him the entire movie.
Okay.
You've got Russell Crowe, who's kind of like the hardened like detective, and then you've got Ryan Gosling, who's like a weird, like quirky kind of detective, and they team up with each other. And it's in like 70s era Hollywood.
Okay.
And it's hilarious. Yeah, The Nice Guys.
There you go.
Joe, you'd love that movie. Yeah, I know. I think you would really like it.
Count on it. It will be watched very soon. I love those kind of movies. Cop buddy movies, right?
Yep.
And now you put in the 70s, I'm in. Because, I was alive in the 70s. Anyway.
So we're talking movies and kind of circling around back to Star Wars. I don't know why this movie bombed, the Steve Jobs movie, but for some reason I really like it. And it's mainly just because of the acting of Michael Fassbender. Watch this movie and tell me he would not make a great villain in Star Wars.
Oh my God, yeah. I watched that movie too. It's a great movie.
He is, man, the way he is just so like controlling and vindictive and just downright like nasty, but in a like really intelligent way.
Wasn't he in some of the X-Men movies? Fassbender?
Yes, he was Magneto.
A younger Magneto.
Yes.
He could
Okay.
play a young Tarkin in a second, easily, I feel like. But I mean, not that a young Tarkin. I don't know what Tarkin was doing when he was young, but he's probably doing some screwed up shit somehow. But obviously, the Empire wasn't around. Maybe he had a little brother.
Yeah. There is a Tarkin book that talks a little bit about his backstory. And then in some of the expanded universe, there were other stories that talked about Tarkin's background. So there's a lot of that.
I agree with that one, Alfie.
I do like Fassbender. Good actor. And I am getting ready to have a sneezing attack. So if I do, I apologize.
I did not like the Prometheus, or I can't remember what the sequel was, as movies, but man, him playing that just evil robot in those two, he was great.
Every time I see him, I think of him saying 3 instead of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Inglourious Bastards.
That's right. That was him. Wow.
I'll just never forget that. And Michael Myers was the guy who was setting him up for the mission. Mike Myers. He was like the British agent who was setting him up. I've watched Inglourious Bastards. It's probably on my list of like most watched movies.
Sorry about that. Some allergy stuff kicking in or something. That is a good movie. Not enough people give Inglourious Bastards enough props.
It's one of my tops. It might be in a top 5 for me. I just love that movie. I think it's a perfect movie.
Another movie with Brad Pitt. There you go.
He's good.
He is.
See,
I love him in Fury.
I know, and that was short off the heels of Inglourious Bastards as well, where I was like, man, we got another great like World War II era of like, obviously Tarantino has his own style of the movies, but yeah, Fury is a great movie. You know what's interesting about this Gosling movie as well is it's like there is, we only know a couple. Oh no, Brent
has joined the chat.
Brent, we're going to have this conversation on the next podcast. All right. We're going to talk about that because I want to know why. I love Tarantino. He's my favorite director, probably. When I heard about him retiring,
he's one that it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. I really liked Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Inglourious Bastards is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Django
Unchained.
Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight, I really.
Hateful Eight would not be. Yeah, Alfie, I could see you not liking Hateful Eight. Actually,
no. I got to choose my words here because this is another movie that, as a movie, I really don't like it. It's not that great, but man, the acting in it is so good.
Yeah, I mean the whole movie's filmed in one room the whole time.
Right.
So it's like there's a lot of moving parts going around. You got Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, all those guys in this room where there's a snowstorm going on. But
wow, wasn't Once Upon a Time in Hollywood also a Tarantino?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
Again, Brad Pitt. Wow, that's a problem, Joe.
Yeah. Joe, The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling is like the exact like vibe of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those movies have like the same vibe where it's just that like 70s era, yeah, it's very cool. Nice Guys. I got to remember that. I got to remember that from now on.
I've written it down.
I'm
prepared. I'm prepping. Doing show prep.
Watch that one a couple times.
All right. So I think
go ahead.
No, I was say I think you've hit on a good idea. And maybe it's not only the Star Wars knockoff things, but I think maybe we should give ourselves some homework and over the next few weeks and months, throw in some of these movies we're talking about. Like maybe you throw 2 or 3 movies in, Alpha, you throw 2 or 3 in, Brent will, I will, and then we go, okay, everybody, we're going to pick one from each of one of ours, right? And go watch them and then come back and report. I think we should do that.
I like it. I'm in on it. Because
Sounds like an idea.
we've got a good little gap here, if I'm not mistaken.
Next thing is what?
I think the animated show on. I think that's probably the next one is the cartoon anime one, right?
Visions?
Visions?
Yeah, is Visions the next thing we get?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. Probably.
And Brent, we'll have to talk about this one as well. I did not care for the Red Hulk movie. The Captain America 4.
I saw that's on Disney Plus. I plan to watch that. I did not see it in theaters.
It didn't live up to it for me. It was okay, but it wasn't that great.
I saw a stat that during the original Marvel run, I think they said 21 out of 22 movies fell below $500 million for profit, something along those lines. I'm going off of an article I read today. Since the first 22, I think they said like maybe 7 out of 13 or 6 out of 13 or something like that have hit the 500 million since that. So like they've been losing money on a lot of their movies, which is why you can tell they're pressing a restart with everything that's going on right now with Doom and everything. So
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was good, and Thunderbolts I really enjoyed. Liked them both.
Yeah, people like Thunderbolts.
Not sure there's much else that I've really, really enjoyed of the new movies.
I stopped watching after the last Spider-Man movie. I really didn't care for the Spider-Man movie, and everything kind of to me seemed like that. Just didn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't interest me. You take out the 3 Spider-Man ending, the whole thing, and to me that movie was just really long and boring. And I say this all the time. I don't know how you make stuff so boring. How do you make a Punisher series that's boring?
What was the line from the new guy? Reboot.
Reboot.
Yeah, Taika. That's what Marvel needs to do. A reboot.
Brent said, "How many movies do I need to come up with?"
Let's each come up with 4.
All right, 4. We got 4 guys on the show. We come up with 4 movies.
What kind of movies? What are we looking at here?
Should we go free for all? I know we were talking about doing the Star Wars ones that we're going to watch, which some of those are episodes where they're shorter. So
yeah, I think we can add those in, but I think we should come up with 4 movies that each of us likes and say, okay, here's my 4 movies. Have you guys watched these 4 movies? And these are 4 movies I'd like you to watch. And then like one week we pick one of Alfie's and we say, hey, we're going to watch it. And then we'll come back and I'll talk about it. One week we pick one of yours, D-Doc, one Brent, one mine. We'll just go around the horn until we get enough Star Wars content coming back to keep us full on Star Wars all the time. But I think that'd be good. But I do think we should watch Spaceballs followed by like Fanboys or something like that to come back and talk about for sure. So we'll talk about that in the chat. We'll get that laid out. We'll lay out some ground rules.
Yeah, we'll let some of if we choose a movie early in the week, we'll let the people know on Twitter, hey guys, we're all watching this. If you guys want to join in and talk about it with us this week, this is what we're watching.
I agree.
Yeah.
So like any movie that you like or any movie that you're into, let's put together a list of 4, each of us, and then say, here we go. Now, if everybody's watched it and we're kind of like, we've all seen that, blah, blah, blah. But if there's some movies like out of the 4, we're going, I haven't seen that. Let's dig into that one. Because I have a feeling I'm going to have 4 movies where you guys are going to be like, I don't know any freaking thing about those. And boom, There we go.
Joe, you need to put the Amelia Clark Christmas movie.
Oh
And just
no,
so
I'm
Alfie
not.
has to watch.
I'm
I,
not putting Last Christmas on the list.
I will not watch that. I'm just telling you right now.
Alfie, it'll make you cry and smile.
Nothing centered around Christmas and no singing. Those are my two bugaboos. Right
Okay.
All right. No musicals and no Christmas. All right. That's
I shouldn't say no Christmas because I mean, the classics. But we've all seen those. So why would you put Home Alone on the list? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, no Hallmarky Christmas shows. No, thank you.
okay. Done. There you go, Rule of Galaxy fans. See, we're going to give you homework too. And if you want to throw us, send us some DMs at Rule of Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us at ruleofgalaxysw@gmail.com. Some movies you think we should watch. We'll consider watching those. Or if you're going to do a deep dive and say, here are some Star Wars episodes from some TV shows or sitcoms, or maybe some movies that were kind of knockoffs of Star Wars that we should watch. We already got a little bit of a list here, and I'm going to post it out on our Twitter feed, but let's add to it. Go ahead, Alf.
Do you know what possibly is the greatest Star Wars centered TV show of all time? And it's really didn't have a lot to do with Star Wars, but the episode of Friends.
With the Slave Leia suit?
There you go.
See? There's
You knew it.
Yeah. And where he
Never
saw his
saw that
mom's
one.
head on her body.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Mhm.
Okay. See, that can be added in there.
That was a good one.
D-Doc, I know you. You're going to be Googling right now and saying, what are TV shows that have had Star Wars things in them?
Oh, there's all kinds of lists. That's what
Okay.
like the one I found where it's like a lot of the stuff we were talking about has Family Guy ranked at number 1 of like the best TV specials for Star Wars.
Well, like every Kevin Smith movie is full of Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars references, but do we need to watch those?
No.
Only a few of them.
No.
No.
I'm excited about the homework challenge. This is good. And I'm going to have some days of travel coming up here where I can sit in a hotel room and just buzz through some shows on my laptop or something like that through a streaming service, I'm sure, or track them down. So I'm jazzed about this. So Brent, I know you're listening. Come up with 4 movies, no musicals, preferably not Christmas. We'll all do the same. Listeners, if you hear this, do the same thing. DM us on Twitter at Rule of Galaxy SW or email us ruleofgalaxysw@gmail.com. And then also add into the movies or TV shows that have something to do with Star Wars, whether we're Star Wars knockoffs or parodies or something like that. Are we good with that? Good challenge? Because we got a while, guys. I think this is good filler. It's going to be fun. I do think we should do the Robot Chicken. Matter of fact, I've got Robot Chicken saved on my laptop, all the episodes and series. That ought to be good. All right. Anything to close up from either one of you guys? Anything we haven't hit or anything you want to cover before we go?
Hey, I will bring up one thing, not to get too deep into a discussion, but I think it's worth bringing up because we talked a lot about it. We covered all the episodes. The Nielsen ratings for Andor were interesting in that they actually rose every week.
Really?
The final 3-episode block, I think I won't get the number right, but it was somewhere around 980 million minutes viewed, which I think it is put it at number 1 on the streaming charts for that week.
Okay.
Again, we bring this up every time we talk about minutes viewed. I know it's not a very accurate, or people don't like that, but that's the best you got for streaming, and that's what you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Still, when you divide it by 3, the number went up, but it's still not a great number. And I'm not trying to disparage the show or anything. I'm just trying to put a little weight to the numbers themselves, because it's, you look at Mando, and it like Mando season 3 finale had like 1 billion minutes watched, but that was like 45 minutes. Where this show that's like 3 hours of TV. So
Yeah.
I think it's only fair to say, hey, you have to kind of. Can you
Break
just
it.
divide by 3? No, but you have to understand the context of the length of the show, which is impressive though, because you're basically saying that many people stuck around for, the
3
3
hours.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, like, a lot of streaming shows, if they make mistakes in their storylines, the numbers will show it. Like The Last of Us, I know what happens in it just from spoilers. I'm
Right.
not watching The Last of Us. I just know that this season, after a certain thing happened, their viewership fell off after a certain thing happened during this season. Where, you know, Andor, say what you want about Star Wars theory. I watch his content randomly. I'm not like always watching it. I watch if I see a thumbnail that might interest me and it's like a 10-minute video, I'll throw it up. He watched Andor after going to ICCC, and everybody there was telling him to just give it a shot because he did not like Andor. He just didn't like it, and his opinion on it was like episodes like 1 through 6 were just, to me, totally boring, made me want to fall asleep. And he said, I thought 7 through 12 were some of the best Star Wars we've probably gotten, like, since Disney's gotten a hold of it. So that's a guy who has over 3 million subscribers. He's a huge voice in the Star Wars community, whether people like it or not. And he even watched it, where I was like, I knew he wasn't watching it, but I think I don't know, I really liked it, so
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I for the actors and actresses who were in that show, how good of a job I feel they did. I think they deserve it. I mean, it's a crazy budget, but they deserve it.
I've said my piece about it many times. I think it's really great. I just did not like it. I have nothing negative really to say about it other than it's just not for me.
And I really enjoyed it, and I'm pushing for a series during the original trilogy. So it matches up with what was going on in the original trilogy. She's pushing buttons behind the scene with Mon Mothma that we don't see, except for that one scene in Return of the Jedi. So that's my thoughts, because I think that would be kick ass. That's beautiful.
That's
my great.
That's my final thing I wanted to share was this Coruscant Guard gunship. How about Lego making a Coruscant Guard gunship? I had to look it up to even kind of like. I'm like, obviously we saw these in Mando when Grogu was being rescued, by I forget the Jedi name, but the guy who played Jar Jar Binks.
Kelleran Beck.
Yeah, Kelleran Beck.
These were chasing after him in that. But like they've only showed them for a brief amount of time, I'm pretty sure, in the Clone Wars series.
Fantastic. That's gorgeous.
But, yeah.
I was thinking, do you see one at the end of Revenge of the Sith, or is it just V-Wings that you see?
You see V-Wings, you see Palpatine's shuttle bringing back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the crazy TIE / X-Wing kind of looking thing.
It's a beautiful set. It's controversial because it's, how everything's been downsized. Like people talk about shrinkflation, but like that's definitely happened with Lego. If you compare this size wise to previous gunships, it's smaller than them. But I got into the clones too late. It's the most things I have now. Is like I was sitting there looking at it last night. I'm like, the most minifigures I have are clone troopers now. I just have like a ton of clone troopers.
It's insane how popular the clones still are.
Oh, huge. Absolutely
It's
huge.
like,
they're coming out with new figures every time they come out with figures.
I sent you guys those Star Wars Legions, the old clones, and mismatched. If they were to release those in Black Series tomorrow, you would never see one of those on a peg in a store.
Mm-mm. Speaking of that, next week, Alfie, I'm going to ask you to open your Captain Rex.
I forgot about that. I have it sitting out too. My bad.
So you need to do that. Number 2, as soon as Lori and I finish with the Captain, I'm going to finish with this. When we finish with the Captain America puzzle, we will open up and do the Y-Wing Lego set that I've got, which I'm so excited about. And I'll just say there's a good chance I might release another Captain Rex secret that might be coming next week. So I will leave that to
Nice.
see if that comes, and I'll have that ready to go when you're opening up that figure. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Guys, we've gone 2 hours. You guys are the best. We had a lot of fun, and we said we were going to go in with no plan. We did that. And actually, the no plan created a brand new plan. So I'm damn excited about that. I'm just giddy to watch new shows and movies. So thank you, both of you. Brent, thank you for Hobby Room is closed for the time being. Okay. See, I can't even go to Brent and I can't go to him and get him to paint my Y-Wing for me. We will soon, Brent. But Brent, get back to us next week. We'll have these new things that we're going to discuss in the text chain. We'll share it with everybody listening to chip in on Twitter and through email and DMs and everything else. That's all we got. Chapter 329 in the books. We'll see you next week. And until that time, may the force be with you.